The English Premier League is the #1 most popular soccer league here in the United States, and I don't think it's going to slow its growth anytime soon. But why is it that this league, played in a different country so many miles away, is so loved and so popular here in the USA? Well, to find the answer to that question, or hopefully some of the answers, I decided to pay a visit last season to a couple Premier League support groups that we have here in Houston, Texas, and asked them, why do they love the Premier League, and why do they think so many others around the country love the English Premier League? We're here outside the Pimlico Irish Pub in Houston, Texas. It is one of several pubs and bars that is the home to a Premier League support group. This one is the home to the Houston Spurs. We're going to go to some of the other bars today and talk to fans of different support groups of the Premier League teams here in Houston. But right now, we're going to head inside the Pimlico and talk to fans of the Tottenham Hotspurs. The video we're doing today, we're going to different bars. It's kind of like why the Premier League is so popular here in the U.S. So first I'll ask you, like, what made you a fan of the Tottenham Hotspurs? What's your story?
My story, well, I guess a long time ago, I grew up in Trinidad, where we didn't have many different types of leagues on TV, but the English Premier League was one of them. And I mean, being like in the Caribbean, you don't really have like a proximity to any particular like team or anything like that. And it just like happened to be that Spurs was really popular when I was growing up, because it was like one of the games that we could get. So, you know, there was just a couple of players that I loved because I played as well. I played on the right. And, you know, Steve Malbronk and Pascal Chimbonda, they just had like a real good connection. And this was like, I don't know, like late 90s, early 2000s. And that's kind of how I got into it, you know.
Awesome. So that was like way back when, and you still kept it all the way, brought it here. How did you find like this community? How did that come about to where you guys gather here?
Yeah, I mean, the internet is amazing, right? So like you just have to look up like Spurs, like groups and stuff like that, and then like once you find it, then you can just like follow the group on Facebook, and then you'll find out where the games are, and then, you know, just come here to watch games every now and then.
Awesome, right? So obviously there's a couple of these like gatherings that they have for the different teams. Like obviously we're gonna go to one for like Arsenal, Liverpool match later. So tell me, like, why is it that you think, in your opinion, obviously you're a Premier League fan, why do you think the Premier League like even more popular than like the domestic leagues we have here, like MLS? Like it's just so much more popular here in the US than like the other soccer leagues that we have.
Not entirely sure. I think there's just a lot of money pouring into the EPL right now, so they advertise. I mean, they even come like to the US to do like the fan fest and stuff like that, so I think that's been making it a little bit more popular as well. But I mean, also I think there's a few American players that have played in the MLS, sorry, like not the MLS, but in the English Premier League, like Clint Dempsey, etc., that have maybe made it a little bit more popular, but not too sure. I think it's the money.
Premier League is like way further along, even more popular here in the US than the domestic leagues like MLS, right? Even probably the US men's national team. Like it's the biggest. Everybody watches the Premier League. If you watch soccer here in the US, you probably watch the Premier League, right? Why do you think here in the United States, like that's along with the Mexican League, Liga MX, why do you think that league is like kind of the top dog here in the US?
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, one was the TV deal, right? I mean, they're the first ones to get a real TV deal, a big one. I mean, even in the early days, like Bundesliga used to be on Fox Sports, for example, and just the quality of just everything, the production quality and everything was just not nearly as good as NBC Sports and stuff did, and like that, right? Two, it's an English league. I mean, English-speaking country, so I mean, there's a little bit of it's just a little easier. So, not that you can't get English commentators, but just some of the things you share with that America shares with English culture, for example, are a little bit relatable, right? Three, I mean, remember whenever we got the TV deal, I think NBC signed that deal, and it was either 2012 or 2013, maybe 20. It was right around then. Remember, Man United. I mean, they're obviously still one of the biggest clubs in the world, but Man United was massive. They had just won the Champions League. They won the treble. You know, they're still one of the biggest. But they were really good then. I mean, even then, I mean, just as little as 5 years ago, I think after a poll, I think Arsenal was the most supported team in the league. You had Chelsea in the up and up. Man City got bought, and they had, and then fourth, I think, you know, you have all the best players in the world were playing here, with the exception. I mean, at the time Ronaldo was, you know, earlier on when Ronaldo was here before he got sold, you know, to Real Madrid, and obviously Messi's always been in Barcelona. But I mean, you also had a lot of the best players as well, right? And marketing, they had the most money, so I guess marketing works because that's why the Prem is the biggest in the world, right?
Even despite soccer not being so popular here in the U.S., it's still super successful. It's popular. You have bars that open early for people to watch. Why do you think the Premier League has captured the attention of the American audience?
The supporters group of you know, wherever we go. I'm actually the co-founder of this supporters group. So we started with two people in a pub, in 2012, and now, I mean, for the Champions League final, we had over 250 in this bar. So I think the Peacock and NBC taking it on has made it huge. Certainly when I first came to America in 2002, the only Americans in the bars were the ones serving drinks. Now, just look at all the Americans watching the game. So, it's really taken off. I think the speed of the game, the overall play, and then just the accessibility. I mean, there's more games shown here than there is in England on a Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, it's and then you get people like Kevin, the owner of Pimlico, who supports us and wants to open for all the games. So it just gives us the ability to get a following and get large crowds in like we do. So
tell me, right? So obviously you're a Spurs fan. They play in the Premier League. Because the video that we're doing, like I said, we talked to the other support groups. Is about why the Premier League, even with the domestic leagues we have here, it seems to be, along with like the Mexican League, Liga MX, it's like the top league here that most people watch and care about, right? There's lots of other bars that are always packed. Tell me, why do you think the Premier League, why do you like to watch Premier League, and why is it so popular here in the U.S.? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I watch it because of Spurs. I don't really watch other teams play that much unless I'm really bored. I don't know what the fascination is. Maybe just we're a former colony, and it's the motherland, I guess, for a lot of people. And even a lot of people here who are Americans grew up because my dad was a Man U supporter. And so I think there's still a lot of Americans who, even though football wasn't huge here in like the 70s, 80s, it was still big enough for them to pick a team. And that might be part of it. And the fact that you can watch every Premier League match on TV now, which is huge. I don't think you can do that with every foreign league, so it kind of helps that way too.
Now, I personally have loved and enjoyed watching the Premier League for quite some time now, but I do think maybe I'll enjoy it a little bit more this season because of the picks I plan to make with Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy, guys, it is my favorite way to play daily fantasy sports games because it's super fun and super easy to play. I like to play their pick'em game because all I have to do is pick higher or lower on certain stats for certain players, and if I get all my picks correct, I get to win a bit of money. With the new Premier League season starting this weekend, guys, you can see some of the picks that I already made for the matches that I'm hoping to watch. Obviously, I'm going to be watching Manchester United, my favorite club, so I made some picks there, guys, but you can also see some other picks that I made for the entire season. Those are my season picks that I made with Underdog Fantasy, so I get to watch and enjoy not just for one match, but for the entire season. I'm going to be more engaged because of those season-long picks that I made. It may be a little bit late for you guys to make your season-long picks for the Premier League, but they also have season picks for the NFL, for college football, for NHL, so there's many different ways to enjoy the many different sports, whether it's one game or the entire season, guys. But you're going to want to do that soon before those seasons starts, so if you do want to do that, make sure you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy using the link in the description, and make sure that you use the promo code SuperSub so you can get your special pick and a first-time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. And like always, guys, when you do sign up for Underdog Fantasy and make a deposit, it really does help out the channel, so thank you very much. And also a big thanks to our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. We are here outside Public House Heights, home of the Houston Gunners, the support group for Arsenal that we have here in Houston, Texas. There's a whole bunch of these bars that host Premier League support groups, and this is just another one of them. Like I said, it's for Arsenal. You can hear them behind me, get them excited. They had a big game against Liverpool. Let's go talk to the fans right now. Obviously, we come here. You guys are watching the game. This is the Arsenal support group here. We're over there talking to the Tottenham fans. I'm sure you're a big fan of those guys, right? We're talking to the Man United fan base. We're doing this video. The reason we're talking to all of them is because we're talking about how the Premier League, right, even though it's a league abroad, it's there in England, it's big everywhere. It's big here in Houston, in the U.S. Tell me, there's so many fans here in the U.S. Why did you become a fan of the Premier League, but also just like specifically Arsenal? What made you become a fan?
To be honest, 98 World Cup, that was the first time my country went to the World Cup in 1998, so that created a big fanfare for football. At the time, my cousin had a FIFA 99, FIFA 98, one of those ones. And it was my first experience actually playing football on a gaming console, and it's just one of those things where you're young, you're naive to the whole thing, and he was like, yeah, choose Arsenal. And from that day forward, 98, 99, I've been Arsenal ever since.
Awesome, man. So that's, everybody seems to have their own story, but it seems all comes together to where it's amounted to where the Premier League, along with like the Mexican League, Liga MX, it's like the biggest leagues here in the U.S., even though we have like MLS, the domestic leagues here. What is it just in Premier League as a whole? Is it a matter of quality? Is it just the marketing? What is it that makes this league even though it's a league abroad, so big here in the United States?
It goes back to the point you make, marketing. They do market the league well in terms of pushing it out there to the world so people can watch it through streams, online, illegally, sad to say, but it's the marketing what it comes down to. It's an entertaining league. They pull players from all over the world to play in the Premier League. So I think that's what really helps the Premier League, and England is the, as they say, the birthplace of football. So that's one of the big reasons why I believe it's so marketed to the world, is because England is so known for football.
What is it about this club, about this league, right? Because we talk to the different fans of the Premier League. Why is it so big, so much passion here in the United States, right? It's an English league, but it's big here. What do you think? Why is that?
I think it's because it's such a competitive league, and they have a lot of, they have a high level of TV broadcasts here in the U.S. And so I think if you're an avid sports fan in general, and you're looking for something to watch, especially on Saturdays, when there's no college football, or if your team isn't in contention, you're going to gravitate towards the Premier League. And I think and they have a lot of big and famous international players that play in the Premier League too. And Arsenal as a club, they are one of the most famous and most supported teams in the world. So, anytime after an Arsenal match, I'll go on social media like YouTube or TikTok or something, and I'll watch reaction videos from Arsenal fans all over the world, Africa, Asia, Europe, South America, and everyone's into the club. So when you see that kind of reaction towards the club that you support, you get energized. And so I'm always looking at the schedule. Even if it's an early match, I'll try to make it to the pub. If I can't make it to the pub, I'll definitely watch it at home or from on the road or something. I'll find a way to watch it.
Awesome. So obviously, right, we talk about like the league in general, all the different fans. Tell me, what's your story? What made you become an Arsenal fan, right? What's your story?
So my dad was an Arsenal fan, and so he brainwashed me to a lot of the sports teams that I support, in all sports really. But I was a 90s kid, and so I started watching Arsenal in the late 90s because of my dad. And then I started playing FIFA, the video game, as well. And I started playing with Arsenal, and they had a lot of really cool players back then. They had Dennis Bergkamp, you had Nicholas Anelka, and then eventually Thierry Henry was signed, and they were just a really fun team to play with in the video game. Plus, my dad was rooting for Arsenal, so I just soaked it all in, and I've been a diehard fan for the past 25 years, really.
Why do you support Arsenal, and why do you enjoy watching the Premier League? What's your story?
Yo, I've been an Arsenal fan since, I think, 97, 98. And for me, I think it was just Bergkamp. First time I saw him play, it was amazing. And then ever since, I thought Arsene Wenger's name meant that he owned the club,
Yeah.
So I started following them, and then good God, Thierry Henry came by, and I was fortunate to watch that period, because he was just unstoppable, So I mean, they took us through the really good times, and then we had the bad times, and we stuck around, and then Arteta's doing his thing. So I mean, Arsenal is my blood. The
Premier League is in England, right? But yet it's so popular, it's so big here in the US that you have these communities that form. Tell me, what made you guys fans of Arsenal and the Premier League as a whole? What made you guys fans?
Well, I've been a fan since 2001, and coming from my home country, Nigeria, coming out here, I mean, there was no way I couldn't support. First time in Houston, I had to find a community of Arsenal fans. Luckily enough, I found one. So ever since then, it's just been, Arsenal is my life, man. If we had a bad result today, I would have gone home. My weekend was ruined already. But now I feel good, so yeah.
Awesome. Tell me, what made you a fan? How'd you become?
And I feel like I've been an Arsenal fan since I was born. Arsenal is in my blood. I'm a Gunner for life, so yeah. I just love Arsenal.
Why do you love it? Why do the people here in the U.S. love to watch the Premier League and Arsenal?
I mean, I'm really excited that it's growing around this area, because before I found this place, I was always watching it at my home. I'm just happy that I can find other people that we can talk about the Premier League, especially supporting the same club. So yeah, the Premier League is a big growth, in the United States. It's really exciting, just from different clubs, seeing people from all over. You can see other people with different jerseys as well. It's nice to just talk smack to each other, but at the end of the day, it's one game, one people at the end of the day.
The Premier League is miles away, but that passion reaches here to the U.S. What is it about the Premier League that you think just reaches all around the world? Why is it so popular here in the U.S. and everywhere?
There are a lot of people overseas. You see, like, crowd. She can move the camera is African, the Salvadorians, and there are a lot of people from overseas. They die for the club, man, and they watch the games, and it just got big and big and big and big because a lot of people. Because USA is a destination. Everybody want to come to USA. Your family want to come, right? My family want to come from India too. From Pakistan and India. Everybody were dying to come here. So the US just got big and big and big, and the support is just big.
Now, I do think there can be several reasons why the Premier League has grown so much here in the United States and why it's so popular. I think a lot of it may have to do with it being just accessible on TV and on streaming. I think they also just have better quality compared to the MLS and other leagues that we have here nearby in the continent. And I just think also they've done a good job marketing these clubs, maybe with the tours that they do here in the summer. There's a lot of reasons, guys, and I've just found by doing these interviews that everybody has their own unique answer and their own unique reason. But what I want to know is, what is your reason? Why do you enjoy the English Premier League? If you do, leave it in the comment section down below. And with that said, guys, thank you so very much for watching. My name is JT Duenas. You're watching SuperSub Soccer. Have a good one.
I told my wife in public, Arsenal come before you.